All right, we are finding the distance between those pair of points. This is x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. We're doing distance formula, so negative 1 minus x sub 1, so minus negative 3, minus negatives plus. Y sub 2, y sub 2, which is negative 3, minus y sub 1 is negative 1, so it's plus. We do the math. That's 2 squared plus negative 2 squared, but I'm squaring it anyway, so it's positive. 2 squared is 4, plus negative 2 squared is 4. You get 8. I'm taking the square root of that. I'm not done there because I got to break it down. What two numbers multiply together to get 8? 4 and 2. I can break 4 down into 2 and 2. You're looking for pairs. What do you have a pair of? Pair of 2s. So 2 goes on the outside. This guy doesn't have a buddy, so he stays underneath. Your final answer is 2 radical 2. Hold up your board. Talking about different types of symmetry. On letter A, can you fold that thing down? If I took this line and folded it down, would it match up? No, it wouldn't. There's nothing there. If I fold it down, if I fold it over, there's nothing to match up. But this quadrant looks like that quadrant. So what type of symmetry is it? Letter A is origin. Letter B, which way can you fold it? Over the X or over the Y? Over the Y-axis. So letter B is Y-axis. It's the only one that works. Letter C, X-axis, because I can take that thing and fold it down hamburger style and it would match up. Letter D, this is the one we had some issues with. What type of symmetry is letter D? It is all of them. A couple of you only had X and Y. If it's X and Y, it's got to be origin. Opposite quadrants look the same. This quadrant looks like that quadrant. This one I could fold over. This one I could fold up, and they would all match up. So our job is to, on your board, graph this line right here. 2x plus 4y equals negative 12, or equals positive 12. So I subtracted 2x from both sides. I'm trying to get y by itself. Those two things I couldn't combine. I'm dividing by 4, dividing by 4, dividing by 4. So my answer is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. I go up to 3 right there. My slope is negative 1/2, so I'm down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2. There's my line. It then says graph any line that is perpendicular to that. If I'm perpendicular, what do I need to do with this slope that I just found? It was negative 1/2. Flip it, and what else? Change the sign. So my perpendicular slope would be what? 2. I'm going to pick any dot. It doesn't matter where I put that dot. Here's a dot, fine. I'm just going to do a slope of 2 from there. It doesn't matter where I started. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. There's my line. It should make a right angle right there, and it does. That's what perpendicular means. You can look at your graph and make sure that makes sense. Questions on either of those things? Keep your answers. Don't change it. Here we go. So, given a midpoint and an endpoint, so we know we're using midpoint formula. Here's my endpoint, so this is like my first point. This is my midpoint. My job is to find the other endpoint. I'm trying to figure out what P2 would be, what the other part would be. Graphically, it looks like this. Here's an endpoint. There's the midpoint. So where would the other endpoint be in relationship to that midpoint? The same distance away, and it'd be straight up. So if you look at it visually, what's your x value going to be? X value is 7. I don't even have to do any work there. It's a straight line going up. That's not going to change. We can show you what that would look like. You start with 7 plus the other value. That's what I was looking for here. The value on my other x point over 2 equals my midpoint x value, which is also 7. Multiply both sides by 2. Cancels. 7 plus x equals 14. Minus 7, minus 7. Hey, look, it's still 7, just like we thought it was going to be. Okay, but using a graph at least visually gives you that idea. For the other one, we're finding that value. So y1 is negative 2 plus y2. We don't know it. That's what we're trying to find. Divided by 2 equals y sub m, which is going to be 7 again. Multiply both sides by 2. That cancels. Negative 2 plus y equals 14. Add 2. Y equals 16. It should make sense. This to here is 9 units away. If I were to go up 9 more from 7, it gets you to 16. The ordered pair should have been 7, 16. Questions with how I found that? So we're putting this in standard form, this circle. Make sure you know how to graph it as well. On this paper, I'm not showing you to graph it, but be able to do that. Step 1 is x's together with a blank, y's together with a blank, everything else the other side. So this positive 16 became negative 16 with 2 blanks. Step 2 is filling in the blanks with half of b squared. So half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Balance that out on both sides. And this blank, I'm taking half of 6, which is 3. 3 squared is 9. Balance that out on both sides. And then to finish this thing, we're making it pretty. We're putting it in that circle standard form. So this is x plus y equals, doing that math real quick, those things would cancel, it gets you just 9. Over here, I'm cutting that 8 in half to get me 4. I'm cutting that 6 in half to get me 3. If I were to graph this thing, good? If we were to graph this thing and find the center, what would my center be? Negative 4, negative 3. And my radius? Radius is 3 because you're square rooting. Change these signs. Square root. Show me your answers, please.